Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me, Shawn, Cruz, Manager of Trader Services at TD Ameritrade, to discuss Nasdaq-100 performance, trends in the Nasdaq Volatility Index, or what we call Vol-Q. We'll also take a look at some economic data as well. Shawn, it's great to hear from you as always. Let's take a look at our first couple of charts here with an update on where we are with the Nasdaq-100.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly have had a pretty strong liftoff out of the Nasdaq, and it looked like we were chopping sideways for a couple of days there, and then we were able to break out to start this week. So there's really, if you're taking a step back and sort of looking at the bigger picture of where we've been at over the past month or so, the two levels that really stick out are down at 15,431, which we just recently broke above. So look for that maybe to hold as support if there is some sort of a pullback to the downside. And below that, looking at 15,141. But that's really if you're taking the day chart where we've come so far this year, sort of the more significant levels that I'm keeping an eye on.
And Shawn, if we take a look at the Nasdaq Volatility Index, or what we call Vol-Q, are there any keys, or are there any clues in there that you can see that might suggest that there's some volatility ahead? We know September is traditionally more of a volatile month.
Yeah, we're sort of lifting off today from some incredibly low levels. If you think about it, it wasn't too long ago, we were sort of watching to see if we could maintain a vol-Q below that 20 handle. And then we were stuck sort of around that 17 level, and we've pulled back and gotten down to the bottom half of the 14 level for that reading. So we're lifting off a little bit today, but still below that, at or below 15 to me, it sort of indicates that there is no major concern or fear creeping into this market. And if you look at what we're getting today out of the Nasdaq-100, it actually is the sort of day you like to see maybe for some consolidation, where you just sort of have this mixed look on the heat map where nothing's really jumping out to you. You sort of have a little bit of softness out of Microsoft and Apple. That's being offset by some strength out of Amazon and Google. And then you just don't really have anything else in there that is so moving higher or lower so meaningfully that it can drag the index with it. So this is actually sort of the good internals of what I think is a good spot to maybe start to get some consolidation.
And Shawn, to wrap up here, we'll take a look at some economic index data that comes out of Citi. Anything that you're discerning from there?
Yeah, so there's this surprise index, and what it does is it looks at what estimates are the consensus estimates for various economic indicators, and then where the actual data comes out. So when we're beating those estimates, means things are coming in better than a lot of these economists across the board. So it's not looking at just one economist or another. It sort of takes a good survey of quite a few economists out there for some very large firms. And just sees where that data comes in relative to what they were expecting. If you notice, for most this year, we were more or less in positive territory. But since the end of July, that is really turned quite negative, and it's continuing to trend lower. And I think that might be something that is maybe giving some of the doves out there, or people who maybe are trying to see if the Fed's going to move to significantly signal their tightening policy here in the upcoming September meeting. As long as the data is coming in so significantly below what economists are expecting, it sort of makes it difficult to think the Fed's going to feel like they're in a good spot to go out there and at least signal a very strong willingness to tighten policy sooner rather than later. But I think this will be something to keep an eye on as we approach that September meeting for the Fed.
All right, Shawn, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.